Greetings and salutations, Michigan Ultimate Survivor League members, fans, patrons, whatever you want to call yourselves. You're all watching this. Welcome to the inaugural, still blurry, Commissioner's Corner podcast of 2019. That's right, it's 2019. Today is kickoff day for the National Football League. We have a horrendous opening game with the Bears and the Packers for some reason. It seems like a regular Thursday night football game, not the opening game of the season. Where are the Patriots? Where are the Chiefs? Where are the good teams? Nobody cares about these teams. Why are they the opening night? I don't know. Nevertheless, it's here. Football's here. I always root against the Packers, so let's hope for a Bears victory tonight. Now, here we go. We have a lot of new owners this year. Well, not a lot, but we have a fair amount. We're going to do a quick introduction podcast here, tell you about the league, how it works, how you do it, all that. Then we'll do a conference-by-conference breakdown. I have a huge mess in my back because we were doing a lot of projects last night. Sorry about that. This is Studio B or Studio A. It's too early to go down there today, so we're going to do it from here. So yeah, we're going to do a quick brief introduction here real quick, and we will show you what's going on here. So make sure everything still sounds good. Okay, so for this league, we use what's called My Fantasy League. You've all signed in. You've all logged in. You've all seen it. I'll be honest with you, it's not the world's easiest site to use, which is why we have this little portion of this in this podcast. So this is your main page. Every week you will see yours truly in this block right here, the Commissioner's Corner podcast. This is like the playoffs, podcast last year. On the left, you have a breakdown of the standings, which you'll go over here. This year we have 6 conferences of 12 teams. We'll go over that here in the schedule here in a little bit. Along the top, you have a bunch of stuff. Some of this you won't have because you're not a commissioner, but still. If you want to see reports, you go to reports. You want to, owners, you can submit lineup. We will do that here in a second. Most of the stuff you don't really have to worry about. Reports is important. You can see player stats and who's started who, etc. That is important. We can go over that in a later podcast. But for now, what you want to worry about is how to navigate this thing. So there's a lot of extra stuff. There are no trades. There's no waiver wire. These are just default options that are here. Don't click them, please. You have these other tabs down here. You can go to My Team, for example, and it doesn't really show you anything because you don't really have a roster, as you probably have noticed. If you joined this league, you probably heard that. But it does show you your lineup, your schedule lineup, as well as your deadline. Yada yada yada. Don't worry about that. That's not accurate. And then if you have just random news on here, so what? So be it. News, you can see all this. Top 1 week ads. None of this means anything. This is for regular leagues. We're not a regular league, so you can just skip this one. Game day shows you basically who's logged in, which is kind of cool. We have some people who logged in today, probably setting lineups. You also have the live scoring tab here, which will show you what's going on. These are all the games that are going on in week 1. Yeah, that's that. Preparing for battle. This is if you need to check this, what's going on here. If you want to see if anyone's scratched or whatever, it'll come up here. It also has player records for the most points. We'll go over the point system here in a minute. So that's that. I mean, that's basically the home page. What you really want to worry about though is this next segment, which is, let's go back home, is your lineup. Okay, every year, not a year goes by. It's like the kid on the escalator from Mallrats. Not a year goes by, someone doesn't do this wrong. So we're going to do it right now. So what you're going to do is, okay, it's very easy. There are 2 options you can do here. Do not add player. Do not add player. Don't ever do that. Because there's a thing that's like, let's add a player. That makes sense, right? Luckily, over the years, they've made that option harder to find. So this way, you want to look at, submit lineup here, this gigantic red thing that pops up, or you can go to 4 owners, submit lineup. No matter what you do, you hit submit lineup. Now, what I'm going to do is you know what? Screw it. We're going to hit submit lineup here. And then, normally you don't have this choice, but I do because I'm here. Then you have this screen, okay? So let's talk about what's required in a MUSL lineup, shall we? Okay, we shall. Each week, you must start 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 kicker, and 1 defense, okay? And then you also have the option of starting an additional running back, wide receiver, or tight end. That's it. Nothing simple. No stupid-ass 2 quarterback leagues. No 2 running backs plus a flex. That's weak. I've been in fantasy football since I was in 3rd grade, people. back when you had to get newspapers and USA Today came out with the late games. You had to do everything by hand. It was crazy, right? Not many people can say that. Some people in this league have been in there. I don't know if anyone's been in there as long as I have now, but there's a couple of you who've been in it since the paper days. I can tell you that much. So how it works is this is your list of players on the left-hand side right around here, if you can see this. Yep, that's it. Okay, make sure, because, yeah, this... I have the screen like slightly off kilter, so it like looks better on the page. So I'm just making sure occasionally it'll go back there. These are who you want to start. So let's say you want to start Patrick Mahomes. Okay, sure. Hit add. Boom. Then you can actually filter this by running back, for example. Okay, cool. Let's start Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott. Add. Then you go down to wide receiver. Well, you know what? Let's try adding Alvin Kamara. Boom. It'll say add. It'll let you do that. Go wide receiver. Let's do Juju, DeAndre, or let's do Devontae Adams. Let's go to tight end. Travis Kelce, kicker, Gostkowski. This lineup would be amazing, by the way, but would not be smart. And the Ravens, add, boom. Then you hit submit. And it's going to say, you submitted more running backs than possible. If you mess up, it's going to tell you. That's the whole point there. I remove all these players because I don't want to start these people because I'm not insane. You can actually click and shift, I believe, and hold all these down. Yep, and then hit remove if you want. That's it. Once they're submitted, you will get an email, I believe, if your settings are that way. But here's the important thing. Okay, how this league works is, in order to prevent collusion, there are two things that go into place here. Number one, you're not in the same conference as like a loved one or a family member, hopefully. A lot of times you're not in the same conference as friends, you know, but sometimes there's so many people who know each other now, it's almost impossible to avoid. And number two, you can't see the lineup until kickoff of the first game on Sunday. Okay, so that is designed so you can't look at your opponent's lineup and be like, oh, well, hey, I'm going to start the exact same lineup but one person. No, you don't know who your opponents are starting. In fact, you can't even see your own lineup unless, I mean, that's what the email is good for. You can go in and change it, but it doesn't show anywhere on the site, and that's designed to prevent people from being able to like scout other teams' lineups and just kind of make slight tweaks to make it better. So that's that. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is the scoring system. I've been, like I said, I've been this a long time. I can remember how to get here, actually. My leagues for owners. See, this shows you right here. I don't know how to get to the scoring system, but I can tell you how it works. Well, this is embarrassing. I don't even know how to use my own damn thing, because I always just click things and it goes there. Well, hey, this is what you do when you go live here, I guess. Well, I can show you this anyway. I'll go here. You don't have to worry about this, but scoring setup. Where are we at here? Scoring. General scoring setup. Okay. Oh my God, this is awful. Well, whatever. I'll tell you how this works, because I know how it works now because I've done this so long. So basically, you get 4 points for a touchdown for a quarterback if it's passing. You get 6 points for a touchdown if it's rushing or receiving. You get basically for every 50 yards a quarterback gets passing, you get 1 point, but it's broken down by yard. So you actually get fractional scoring, so you get like 0.02 points for every yard passing, and it's the same way for rushing and receiving, but it's every 20 yards or 20 yards for a point, so it's 0.05 points. The point is, pun intended, you can't really have ties because the fractional based scoring makes it very good. And then on defense, you get points for, fumble recoveries, interceptions, touchdowns, all that. It's all pretty standard. What's unique is that you don't get robbed if you get like 52 passing yards, for example, or 62 rushing yards. You get a point for every yard that counts, just 0.02 or 0.05 points. And then, I don't know why that's not on here. I don't know. They changed some things on the layout here, but whatever. And then it is important to know that every week you will be playing one other team. That's it. You will go up against, and this year, there are 6 12-team conferences, which means that in the past you've had, these odd number conferences, odd number of teams in there. In the past, you've had non-conference and conference games. This year, we are blessed to be able to just have conference games. So every game you play this year is very important. You will play every team in your conference one time. You will never play anyone who's not in your conference. So it's like we have 6 different leagues, really. But in the end, you scale up to get to the playoffs and go through other teams. So everyone in your conference you will play, and every game is equally important. So that is very important to know. Now, a couple things you should know. There is a thing, and I don't have this on my little sidebar here, but there is a thing here in our system, again, designed to eliminate any type of collusion or whatever you want to call it. No collusion. There wasn't collusion. What can I say? What it is called the randomizer. It's a thing that is a very hot button debate topic, okay, because you have 2 different sides of the fence, but there's only one side that matters, and that's the side of integrity, which is the side that I'm on. So let's say you are in the final week of your playoff of your MUSL season, and you need to win, and you need this other team to lose, right? In order to make the playoffs. Can definitely have. We'll talk about playoffs here in a second. But let's say I'm playing Ryan Frazier's team. Ryan Frazier is a kind of an outspoken opponent of the randomizer, so that's why I will use you as an example, Mr. Frazier. Let's say Frazier and I are battling for first place in our conference, right? And, I start my lineup. My opponent starts his lineup. Frazier starts his lineup. But Frazier's opponent just says, fuck it. Sorry for the language. I'm done. I'm not making the playoffs. I'm not submitting a lineup. Now, would that be fair to anyone else in the league to get in week 11 to give a person who is trying to win a playoff spot a free game? No, it would not be fair. It wouldn't be fair to anybody. Now, granted, is it Frazier's fault that his opponent didn't submit a lineup? No, it's not. But it is important because nobody should get an automatic win in this league. So, whether it's week 1 or week 11, okay, you cannot play against a team that has no lineup in. People get busy. Hopefully, at this point in the game, this will be in our 8th year, I believe, doing this. The owners who are here are serious owners at this point, so hopefully they won't just abandon their team in the middle of the year. If they do, we'll find a replacement for them, so this won't happen. But still, if someone gets busy, forgets their lineup, whatever, usually it's not going to happen week 11, but if they did, there is this thing called a randomizer, which basically takes position, let's say a quarterback, for example. You don't submit a lineup, randomizer gets you. Your quarterbacks are going to be ranked from 11th top scoring in the league, so you're not going to get any top 10 people in this randomizer. 11th through 32nd for quarterbacks and defenses and kickers, okay? So 11 through 32, top scorers. And then 11 through 64 for running backs and wide receivers, okay? You're going to randomly that team's going to randomly have people assigned those things. If they have a bye, they will be excluded from that. But if they're injured, they could be included in that. So if your randomizer gets a guy who's injured, guess what? Don't cry about it because you should have submitted a lineup in the first place. But that way, the person who is playing that randomizer team does not get an automatic victory, and that maintains the integrity of the entire league. So, rarely do randomizers win. I'll say that. Rarely. Probably 15% of the time randomizers win because it is, it's a crapshoot. But there's a chance that they could win and prevent an automatic victory for the other team. So that's why it exists. So that's how that works. So, randomizer, I love it. Most people understand the point of it. Some people will fight to the death about how dumb it is, but it's not dumb. It helps maintain the integrity of the league. So, let's talk playoffs, shall we? We shall. In the MUSL League, that's like an ATM machine. I say this every year. In Michigan Ultimate Survivor League, there are 72 teams. This year, 26 of those 72 teams will make the playoffs. So that's about a third of the teams. Not quite. Well, maybe it's a little bit more. It is a little bit more. 26 teams make the playoffs. This year, we are going back because there are 6 conferences of 12 teams each. Winning your conference is a very important thing. So this year, we're taking a little bit of the extra prize money we have from the people who paid $25. Not a ton. Not a ton of people paid $25. More people paid $20, I can tell you that much. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a deadline to get in. If you didn't get in, you paid $25. No big deal. But that extra money is being used to support conference champions, if you win your conference, you get a guaranteed $50 at the end of the year, which is pretty cool. Double your money, or a little bit more than double if you got in on before the deadline. So 6 conference champions will get $50, and more importantly, they get a coveted bye in week 1 of the playoffs. Now, let me tell you how important that is in regular fantasy football. Yeah, it's great. Reduces your chances of losing, obviously, because you can't lose. In Survivor League, it is doubly important because not only do you get the bye, so you're not going to lose that week, but that also means an entire week of not submitting a lineup. So that means all the players you could use. By the way, I didn't mention this, but you probably know this already. Once you use a player once, you can't use them again the rest of the year, including playoffs. So having that bye where you can use no players at all is super important. Probably more important than that $50, to be honest with you. But who knows? Rarely in the past, I don't think ever a team has actually won the championship without a bye, but I may be mistaken. Because I know the last 2 years they had a bye at the very least. So that bye is very important. So get it, get that $50, get the bye. So playoffs start in week 12. This year they're only going through week 16 because that's the way the numbers work out, okay? Historically, it's gone to 17 because there's so many teams, odd numbers, yada, yada, yada. I think that if a regular fantasy league has their championship week 17, it needs to be thrown in the trash because if you have Tom Brady as a quarterback, he's probably not going to play in week 17, so unless you get handicapped by that. Survivor League doesn't matter because you can start anybody anyway. But doesn't matter, moot point. Week 16 this year will be the finals, okay? Period. That means week 17 we have an off week, and then we start our MUSL Survivor our playoff challenge, which we'll talk about at the end of the year. So 26 teams make the playoffs. 6 conference winners get a bye. At least 20 teams. Then the top 12 records, okay, will get into the playoffs. Now, there is a tiebreaker for, let's say there's, 13 teams. Well, let's say there's a tie for, like, the last spot. At that point, it goes to points immediately, okay? Because, points are important, as you'll see here in a second. You can't see where I'm touching on this screen, but I am touching something. Well, my hands are up here. I promise it's not down there. So the 12 teams get in based on record. So let's say you came in second place in your conference. Chances are you're probably going to make the playoffs. Third place, possibly. Depends on how good your conference is, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So those 12 teams get in based on record. And then out of the teams that are left, this is really important, because let's say you just have an ass load of points, but you make it in on record, those teams are scrubbed away, and the teams that are left that have not made the playoffs yet, the top 4 points that are left. Because you get people who score a lot of points and lose. It's not really fair, but it is what it is. It's bad luck. But in the MUSL, as well as in the IFSC, my league for 30 years or whatever that I've been in, not this year though, whoops, you get in the playoffs. So 6 teams a conference, 12 teams based on record, 4 teams based on points, and then 4 teams get in via the lottery. This is another thing unique to Survivor League and IFSC, which is my regular league. How the lottery works is this. First of all, if you get randomized once, you're on what's called the gray list. If you get randomized twice, you're on the black list, and you are exempt from the lottery drawing, okay? Lottery drawing works like this. Every win you get gets you 1 ticket into the drawing, okay? At the end of the year, we have this computer software that randomizes numbers, and we pull out 4 tickets, and 4 teams get in. Even if they've only won 1 game, theoretically, they could get in. If you don't win an entire game, unfortunately, well, you don't get in the drawing. But chances are you don't know what the fuck you're doing anyway at that point. So, 4 teams get in via lottery. And then the playoff bracket is set. Playoffs start in week 12. Go through week 16. So, in terms of payouts, as we mentioned, the conference champions get $50. And then, if you make it to the final 4, you get an additional $50, right? If you make it to the finals, depending on what happens to the final 4, if you win, you make it to the finals. If you lose, you go into the third place game. If you win that third place game, you get an extra $50. So third place ultimately wins $100. Well, yeah, maybe plus their $50 if they won the championship. So you can win some money in this league, no doubt. Not huge amounts for what you do if you don't make it to the final 2, really, but, it is what it is. And then, fourth place just gets their $50. They get no bonus on top of that. Third place gets an extra $50 for winning that third place game. Second place gets an extra $200 for winning second place. So they make $250 total. And then the winner gets an extra $550. So if you win the Survivor League, you will get $600 this year. Plus maybe the $50 you won for in your conference. So it's pretty cool. Prize pool, while bigger than normal, well, it's actually bigger than it was last year, I don't think technically, but with the increase, it made a little bit extra money to give. You get, that's why we're giving the conference winners an extra $50. That's $300 out of the regular prize pool. But I think if you win basically a mini league, you should be rewarded. Plus, this way more people win money, and that's always good. The more the merrier, right? That's what they say. I think my wife's home for bringing the kids home. So now let's talk the conferences. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. Maybe. So conferences this year. We have how the conferences typically work in the Survivor League is we take 6, I'm a huge movie buff, 6 iconic movie characters from comedies, and they have their own conference. That's what the conferences are named after. So we have the Jeff Lebowski Conference from The Big Lebowski. We have the Kirk Lazarus Conference from Tropic Thunder. We have the Ron Burgundy Conference from Anchorman. The Jeff Spicoli Conference from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. The Frank Drebin Conference from The Naked Gun. And the Brody Bruce Conference from Mallrats. Arguably my favorite movie character of all time. One of, if not the best. My favorite. So, in these conferences, here's what we have. We're going to break down the Jeff Lebowski Conference first. We have Squad Rolls, which is Neil Seagraves. Brady O'Bush, Ashley Cromwell. We'll talk about her in a minute. 99% luck, 1% heart, which is Rocky Keeling. Your mother likes my defense, defending champion, Alan Harvey. We have Irish Shamrocks, which is Chris Amos. Melissa's Meatballs, which is Melissa Garrity. Here's my wife. She's back. We have Password is Taco, Dom Valenti. Not to be confused with Dominic Valentine or Dominic Valenti, by the way. I know 3 different people with those names. The Donkey Punchers, which is who? Will Green, good guess. New Orleans Rock Chucks, which is Aaron King. Toon Squad, which is Corey Dole. Bleeding Blue Bombers, Pat Provost Sr. And Built D. Ford Tough. Now, we go down to the Kirk Lazarus Conference. Built D. Ford Tough is Brian Branham, new owner. Kirk Lazarus Conference, you had yours. This is, I thought, the hardest conference, but we'll see. Providence Power, which is yours truly. Lisinski's Legends, John Lisinski. The Dublin Drunks, which is Jeffrey Arbogast. Hernandez Hitman, which is Antoine Bacon. Now You See Me, Now You Don't, Ryan Fraser. 52 Shades of Clay, which is Bonnie Monahan. Trump Up the Volume, which is Steve Garrity. Play with Mike Ditka, Tony Cromwell. Nantab Knights, which is Michael Myers. Honolulu Blue Balls, Larry Weinberg. This is a Addison Heavy League conference. Cheechki, which is Nick Harris. And Taco Tuesday, Scott Miller. We're going to go back. We're going to circle through these. I just want you to know the names behind these people first. Ron Burgundy Conference, we got Old Papa's Players, which is Melissa Garrity's father. I don't know his name. It just says Melissa Garrity. Bombers, new owner, Rich Warrens. Can I Get a Hot Chub? Andrew Brown. The Apache Chiefs, which is Cale Seagraves. Bare Naked Tiggers, which is Jackie Woods, always up to no good. Tallywhackers, which is Josh Crampton. Giggle Giggle, which is Michael Myers 2.0. Zeke's Relationship Corner, which is Tom Farmer 2.0. 2.0 means they have 2 teams. You can have 2 teams in this league, just they can't be in the same conference. Alabama Muff Riders, that is Brock Davis. Concussion Protocols, OJ. Okay. Jason Foote is the J Footman Clan, and Lennon Hurricanes, my son, in the league for the first time. So several new teams in that one. The Spicoli Conference, we got True Blue Wrecking Crew, which is Roger Brewer. This Is My Year, Cody Cole. Probably isn't. Steel City Sackers is Dustin Hanson. Uncle Rico is Pat Provost. Collector Kings, which is a Danny Lane. Good Lord, what's wrong with me? Bitch is back. She back again. Kelly Fowler. FarmersOnly.com, a one-time champion. Tom Farmer. Cloacal Kiss, which I believe is Maddie Bradley, yes. Tenacious D, which is Josh Crampton 2.0. Carry On Wayward Son, Brian David. Stick Zedinia, Derek Gregory. And Super Original, Paul W. Smith. I'm not sure if W is his middle name, but he was an old, WJR radio host. Frank Drebin Conference, we have my wife, Cassandra Seagraves. Fly Eagles Fly, which is Mick DeBow. Granny's Baloney Curtains, which is Cody Provost. Bring Back the Butt Fumble, Tom Farmer. Nasty Nutria, Sarah Krasansky. Team Has No Name, Brandon Koski. Riverside Raids and Raincourse, Craig Monahan. Chiz Nasty, Jeff Chisholm. Monstars, Kyle Stoker. For Edification, Kevin Wilson. Rolling with Mahomies. Young Garrity. Don't know his name. He's young. His last name's Garrity. My Ball, Zach Ertz. Don Knapp. newcomer. Several newcomers in this division too. And then finally, the Brody Bruce Conference, we got the Chubb, not to be confused with can I get a hot Chubb. Alan Harvey's second team. That's important, people. He's been in the league 1 year and he won, so the boy's got a great track record. Hockenstein, which is Josh Endicott, new owner. Bring your A game, Rob Jazerski. Kikambas, Jeremy Orr. DeWyans, which is Gary King. FL Farging Iceholes, Tony Lay. Brady's Balls, Corey Brewer. Stafford's Bastards, which is Robert Ames, a.k.a. Bob Ames. He could dunk in high school. That's his claim to fame. Pretty cool dude. The Black Hole, Rob Bradley. Malin Incorporated, Paul J. Ward. Team George Richardson, you should probably change your name. And Team Jason Taylor. Wait, Jason Taylor's in this league? Did you know that? Yeah. Well, now we have... I'm not even going to sink to that level of making a horrible Jason Taylor joke. Probably not the same Jason Taylor. Maybe it is, though. Depends. All right, so those are the conferences. Now let's look at the breakdown. Here we go. So here's what we've done. I've gone through the 7-year history of this league. Gone through and used my Smash Brothers format for points based on how far you make it into a bracket. It's a foolproof system, by the way. And the further you make it in a bracket, the more points you get for any given year. And then I've totaled all those points, as well as the number of appearances that these teams have in the playoffs, and total them up by conference. So, when it gets down to it, the toughest conference this year, because we've subtracted new teams from the formula, the toughest conference this year actually is not the Kirk Lazarus Conference. It is the Jeff Lebowski Conference, and here's why. They have, despite having 2 new teams, they have a total of 22 playoff appearances between the 12 teams over the last 7 years, okay? Some of those are heavy hitters, too. Brady O'Bush and Your Mother Likes My Defense, which is last year's defending champion, Alan Harvey, as well as Brady O'Bush, who won in the epic Cromwell versus Cromwell finals match a couple years ago. 2 defending champions. But you also have Password is Taco, who has 18 points, which means he's made it in only 3 years. He's made it very deep in the playoffs multiple times. You also have the Donkey Punchers, Toon Squad, and Squadrels with 9 points, which means they've gone somewhat far, but they have, 4 years for Squadrels. He made the playoff 4 times. Toon Squad only 2 years, which means that he's made it far. Melissa's Meatballs, 2 years. New Orleans Rock Trucks 3-time playoff appearances. Then you've got Irish Shamrocks with 1, and he made it to the second round. So, hey, pretty formidable, the toughest division on paper, no doubt. And the main reason that is because you have 2 teams who've won in the past, and you have 1 team that came pretty darn close in Password is Taco. So then we're going to go down to the Kirk Lazarus Conference, where we have the same 22 appearances, okay? 22 appearances, 1 brand new team, which is Taco Tuesday, and 89 points for the playoff points. So, important to know, there are more teams in this conference that have made the playoffs than Lebowski Conference. They just haven't gone as far. So here we go. Providence Power, my team, made the playoffs 2 out of 7 years. It's not great. Lisinski's Legends made the playoffs last year, I believe. Dublin Drunks made the playoffs twice. Hernandez Hitman 1 time, but still better than 0. Now You See Me, Now You Don't. This is tough because he's got 20 points, 3 playoff appearances, 0 championships, which means he's made it far as hell at least twice, probably 3 times. I think twice, and 1 year he kind of got bounced early. So he's made it far, but never quite won it. Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Maybe the Buffalo Bills of the MUSL League. Same with 52 Shades of Clay, but not as impressive because they've made it 4 years but only have 17 points. So they've made it more years, haven't made it as far, but I know they made it to the Final Four 1 year. I'm almost positive, which is really good. Trump Up the Volume, I'm pretty sure he's made the playoffs, but people change their names, and I'm not sure. I might have lost something there. Play with Mike Ditka, 16 points, 2 appearances, which means that he did, in fact, make it to the finals 1 year, just lost. Nantab Knights, 6 points, 3 appearances. Honolulu Blue Balls, 7 points, 2 appearances. And Chichki, 8 points, 2 playoff appearances. So that means these numbers here, right here, means how many times they've made the playoffs in 7 years. And that doesn't mean a lot of these teams have not been in the league 7 years. Very few teams have been in the league all 7 years, by the way. Some of them have made it 2 out of 2 years, which is just as impressive, I think. And then, so if you look at this number right here, this is like the rating, which is a rating I've calculated based on points times appearances minus new teams, right? So you get 2,000, which is the hardest, 1,858. Then you go down here and you can look. 228, this is definitely the easy conference. Oh, no, it's not, because 120 is easy conference. We'll go over those in a minute. 624 and 701. So, 228, this conference much easier, I can tell you that much. Between the 12 teams, they have 52 playoff points, which means they have no defending champions. And all 12 teams have made it a total of 14 years, or 14 appearances in the playoffs. Those leading that are the Tallywhackers. Josh Crampton's team's been in the league. He may have been in the league all 7 years. I have to double check that number. The Apache Chiefs has only made the playoffs twice, but he went far both times. Old Papa's Play has made the playoffs 3 times. Giggle Giggle 3 times. Zeke's Relationship Corner twice. And then we have a slew of new teams as well. 5 new teams in this conference, so that's crazy. Too bad I'm not in that one. True Blue Wrecking Crew is in the Jeff Spicoli Conference. He has not made the playoffs at all. I don't know why I let off of that, but still, I must have misread something. This conference has 13 appearances with 48 points, so they have fewer appearances and didn't make it as far. This one is led by one heavy hitter, FarmersOnly.com. Won the league 2 years ago. It's the only time he's ever made the playoffs, but he won. So what do you say? What do you take that as? He's a winner. You can't rob it from him. 20 points for that one appearance. Tenacious D has 14 points over 4 years. Uncle Rico, 4 points over 2 appearances. And then, This Is My Year, Steel City Sackers, Collector Kings, Carry On Wayward Son, Stick City, and Super Original have all made the playoffs once, and most of them, frankly, didn't go very far. Then we get to the Frank Drebin Conference, which is what we like to call amateur hour. So in this conference, you have one, maybe 2, but one definitely significant playoff team, and that is Nasty Nutria. Sarah Krasansky's team has made the playoffs 3 times and has gone far at least one of those years because she scored 17 points, which means she probably made the Final Four one year, or maybe the Elite 8 twice. I don't know. I'd have to double check the numbers. Hey, what do you know? I can do that right here. Nasty Nutria. Let's see where you're at. Nasty Nutria. 2018, she made the Final Four, no doubt about it. She also did not do very well in 2013 or 2012, but she did make the playoffs, so that's all that really matters. All right, so there's that. Nasty Nutria, very good. And then you have Riverside Raging Rain Chorus, 3-time playoff team. And then you have Grandin's Baloney Curtains, Bring Back the Butt Fumble, and A Team Has No Name, both with 2 appearances. Finally, you have Is That Your Final Answer? She's in there on her phone. 1 playoff appearance, got bounced in the first round, I'm afraid. That's what that 1 point means. Oh, yeah, the Chubb. I was like, how the hell's the Chubb won? The Chubb hasn't won. But Alan Harvey has one, and that's his team. So in the Brody Bruce Conference, you have 1 defending champion, legitimately. You have Kakambas, who fly under the radar. I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize they made it far either of these years. But they have 13 playoff points, only 2 appearances, which means they've made it pretty far in the past. The Black Hole. 3 appearances, 11 points. And then you have Brady's Balls with 2 appearances. And then you have Malin Incorporated, 1 appearance, but went pretty far. Stafford's Bastards, DeWyans, Tony Lay's team, Better Bring Your A Game, all with 1 appearance. Then you have 3 new teams in that conference. So there you go. If you're going to go conference power rankings, Jeff Lebowski Conference is the toughest. Kirk Lazarus the 2nd toughest. Brody Bruce Conference the 3rd toughest. Jeff Spicoli the 4th toughest. Ron Burgundy the 5th. And then you have Frank Drebin Conference as the weakest conference in the nation. But guess what? This is all in the past, folks. Nobody cares. It's all new. Starting tonight, everything's wiped clean. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It only matters what you do in the present. So, all these numbers. I've wasted the last 10 minutes talking about this. In the end, guess what it means? Absolutely nothing. Because, as you can see, FarmersOnly.com has won the Muscle Bowl 2 years ago, I believe, maybe 3. I think it was 2. Didn't make the playoffs last year. In fact, I don't even know what his record was last year, and frankly, I don't care because guess what? It's ancient history. So, here is the deal. The league starts tonight, okay? In case you're wondering, I probably should have mentioned this during the lineup section. You do not have to have your lineup in tonight. You have to have your lineup in by Sunday at 1 o'clock. If you want players that are playing tonight, which I don't know why you would, dog game if you ask me, you have to have them in before kickoff. Everything else locks in Sunday at 1 o'clock. You can't see the lineups until Sunday at 1 o'clock. Then all of a sudden it's like, boom, here are your team, here are the other team. Let's rock and roll. So be checking the Facebook group. Be checking the website. The website honestly doesn't get updated that much. It just puts this video on there. But the Facebook group is where most stuff gets updated. So if you're an elitist and don't have Facebook, get frickin' Facebook, please. It's way easier to communicate with you. I'll be checking in probably, I don't know, some point. Definitely next week, if not before then. So if you have any questions, you can give me an email at james@megaxp.com. That's MEGGAXP.com. Message me on Facebook or text me at 517-879-7804. Good luck, everybody. Hope you get your lineups in. Hopefully no one gets randomized in the first week because that's super embarrassing. We'll talk to you soon. I'm out.